Hello, good evening all. We will start the program in next 5 minutes. And, Professor A.B. Pandit sir will be joined shortly. Good evening, respected dignitaries, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen. It gives me great pleasure to welcome you all to the late Shri C.J. Bhumkar Memorial Lecture. I am Supriya Patil and I have the honor of being the master of ceremony of today's program. May I request Mr. Shivaji Durgavle, Mr. Prasad Purandare and Mr. Sankesh Shinde to kindly escort our distinguished guest, Mr. Dilip Raghavan and Mr. Professor A.B. Pandit to the dais. Thank you so much, sir. I now request Mr. Sankesh Shinde, Honorable Secretary, to formally welcome our esteemed guest speaker, Mr. Dilip Raghavan, to the floor. May I request Mr. Prasad Purandare, Honorable Chairman, Pune Chapter, to welcome Professor A.B. Pandit, Vice Chancellor, ICT Mumbai, with a flower of bouquet. I request Mr. Dilip Patil, Honorable Treasurer, to welcome Ms. Priya Bhumkar, MD of Saujanya Color, with a flower of bouquet. To formally commence the proceedings, I invite Mr. Sanket Shinde, Honorable Secretary of the Color Society, to deliver welcome address.
Good evening, everyone. Respected dignitaries on the dais and off the dais, industry leaders, dear members, and friends. Warm welcome to today's guest speaker, Mr. Dilip Raghavan, Director Paintindia, Professor A.B. Pandit, Vice Chancellor ICT Mumbai, and Ms. Priya Bhumkar, Managing Director Saujanya Color, past presidents and members of the Color Society, office bearer of the associations, teachers, students, and my friends. It is my great honor and privilege to welcome you all to the late Shri C.J. Bhumkar Memorial Lecture organized annually by the Color Society on his birth anniversary. This tradition, which began in 2010, is a testament to his enduring legacy in the paint and coating industries. Shri C.J. Bhumkar was a visionary leader, a brilliant technocrat, and a mentor to many. His contribution to the paint industry and the coating industry is remarkable. His remarkable tenure at Asian Paint to establishing Saujanya Color Private Limited continue to inspire us all. His dedication to technology, innovation, and excellence set a benchmark in our field. Today, we also acknowledge the commendable effort of his family, Ms. Priya Bhumkar, and grandson in expanding Saujanya Colors globally and taking the company to new heights. Today is not just another lecture. Today is about a legacy. Today is about the remembering a pioneer. Today is about the carrying forward a vision. Some individuals don't just build careers, they build industries. Some names don't just fade with time, they become legacies. Sir, late Shri C.J. Bhumkar is one of these names whose vision continue to inspire us, guide us, and challenge us even today. Late Shri C.J. Bhumkar was not just a name in our industry, he was a force, a visionary who believed that progress in coatings is not just about formulations and chemistry, but about people, passion, and purpose. He believed in sharing knowledge, he believed in nourishing talent, and most importantly, he believed in the industry grows. When industry grows, we all grow together. And that is the exactly that what Color Society stands for. Friends, the coating industry today is at fascinating turning point. From sustainability to high performance materials, from global competition to technological disruption, we are constantly being challenged to push boundaries. And that brings us perfectly by today's theme, pushing the technology envelope into the coating industries. There could not have been a more relevant topic, and honestly, there could not have been a perfect fitting speaker like Dilip Raghavan. It is my absolutely privilege to welcome someone who has not just observed the industry, but has actively shaped its conversation, connected its people, and amplified its voice. Shri Dilip Raghavan, Director of Paint India. Sir, through your efforts, you have created platforms that have educated, inspired, and united the coating fraternity, not just in India, but globally. Your contribution is truly invaluable. I am certain that today's lecture will not just inform us, but challenge us and provoke us, and also inspire us to think bigger and go further. Before I conclude, I would like to say this. If we truly want to honor late Sri C.J. Bhumkar sir, we should not just remember him, we should live his vision. Let us innovate more, let us collaborate more, and let us continue to push the boundaries of what is possible. I extend my heartfelt gratitude to all the dignitaries, past presidents, members of the Color Society, ICT faculty, students, paint manufacturers, raw material suppliers, and professionals, and all the technocrats from the coating industry and paint industry for being here today. Your presence makes this event truly special. Thank you all.
Thank you so much, sir. At this moment, I invite anyone from the audience who would like to share their memories of late Shri C.J. Bhumkar. You are the most welcome to do.
First thing, I got in Asian Paints because of CJ Bhumkar. He interviewed me that time. Dynamic person, very dynamic. I have not seen such a person at all. He used to take labs. He used to take round in the labs. His first question always, what is new? And that has fitted in us. I think Bhumkar's vision was really those who know, who experienced it. And probably I'm one of them. So I told, yes, thank you very much.
Thank you so much, sir. I also request to share some memories to Priya Bhumkar ma'am.
So, good evening, everybody. As always, thank you very much for this gathering in the memory of my father-in-law. We are always overwhelmed to see annually so much love, affection, remembrance, respect for him. And so thank you very much for making it today, for making it, for his memory today. We are talking about, Sanket, you touched upon legacies. Okay. So I'll take up on that word, legacy. So if we talk about legacy and the legacy which Mr. Bhumkar, I'm second generation from the family side in the business. And then of course Jashan also you mentioned is a third generation on the family side. I think I have spoken over the years, this is probably his 16th Color Society Memorial Lecture. And he would have been 91 years old this month. So what is the legacy? I think that I've touched upon many aspects of his personality, and all of you also remember him in many ways. But I think one of the memories and one of the things I'd really like to state is the quality of resilience. Because in a long journey of life, okay, there are many ups and downs. And, often not always going is good, okay? And things come at you, you have not planned for things, but they happen to you. But what we have seen him, and I joined the family, been there now for many years, and I had a very long trajectory of, learning from him for so many years, about 25 years. I think the quality, very sterling quality is that of resilience. We never saw him down. No matter how hard the situation, no matter what, it could be business, it could be personal life, it could be health issues, bypass surgery twice, riding, with a company, at that time we were already young. Plus there were some other things, who have been there from so many years, and you have seen the challenges that one faces in a lifetime for everybody. I mean, it is life. There are good times and then there are very challenging times that each one of us faces, but the resilience. We never saw him lose his optimism. Always about, okay, this is a situation, why don't we do this to take care of this, and why don't we come out of it? So I think very irrepressible spirit, absolute optimism, and very, very strong inner core to deal with anything that life threw at you. That's the very big legacy that he has left with us, with Jashan and I, and then, my husband and all of us in the family, and I'm sure also with our teams who worked very closely with him over the years, is this resilience. And the resilience is a quality which allows you to overcome a storm, and then, you just keep going calmly, and you come out, there's always an end to it. You come out at the other end, and then it's calm sailing for some time until there is another storm. This is a journey, and I think there's a lot that we have learned from him. Coming to today's speaker, my father-in-law and Dilip's grandfather, they were friends, like very dear friends from many years ago. So I'm sure he couldn't have been more proud to know that you are the speaker today. And we have all seen Dilip's journey. I have also, known you for so many years, and we've had a trajectory in the industry together. So I think from what Paint India was to what Paint India is today, and he used to say that I'm going to become the biggest show, in the world. And I think you have made it a reality this year. It's the most prominent, and it's not only prominent in terms of the gathering, but simply the way in which you have marshaled it to become like the nerve center for the industry, for global coatings industry, where you have a lot of suppliers, you have customers, everybody gathering together for those 3 days. And the class with which he does it, the very generous mounting of the show, the detailing, the meticulous attention to every single detail to ensure that whoever participates in the show is having an experience of that quality and that standard. So really kudos to you for that. We are very, very proud to co-own the show as industry people along with you. And in terms of today's topic, I'm sure you will say Mr. Bhumkar couldn't have been happier with the topic. It's absolutely from his heart, the technology envelope, and you're talking about pushing it. So it's very much, like what he would have been so happy to see. I can also like to say about Dilip, it's not only about the Paint India show, but he's a thinker. And the way that he sees from where he sits. We are part of one company or two companies or a few companies, but Dilip is somebody who sits outside and he has a perspective of the whole industry, not only in India, but also at a global level. So the insights that he brings, and then the immense amount of study that you have put into the industry trends and how things are shaping up, and the knowledge that you possess, the exposure that you have for yourself, immense cornucopia of knowledge and information about the industry. We are very excited to hear you today. Dr. Pandit, thank you for gracing the occasion, for being here for Mr. Bhumkar today. And to the Color Society, from my heart, thank you for doing this so lovingly for my father-in-law every year that you do it. The affection that you have in your heart, really it is overwhelming. Thank you.
Thank you so much, ma'am. May I now request Professor A.B. Pandit, Vice Chancellor, ICT Mumbai, to address the gathering.
The third time I'm coming to KV Auditorium today itself, either for inauguration or for some sort, which just clearly indicates that ICT is still thriving. And it is thriving because of people like CJ Bhumkar. Dilip, Durgavale, Sanket, Priya Madam, Professor Kale, all the old familiar faces which I see here. After this fantastic Paint India show, which I happened to be present at the time of inauguration, must compliment Dilip on a great going, and was very pleasantly surprised to see that he found time to give this lecture, especially in the memory of late Shri C.J. Bhumkar. Indeed, ICT is taking strides, and more busy you are, it clearly indicates that more busy are the activities and the people who are in ICT. If they can keep the Vice Chancellor active all the time and don't allow him to sit and do his regular duty, it means everybody is moving. And I feel really happy about it, and the topic which Dilip has chosen is indeed extremely relevant, and under the current circumstances, it has become even more relevant, and I am sure Dilip will touch upon these as well. Now, these two Raghavans have been extremely helpful to ICT. Dilip on one hand and Ravi on other hand. And these two have been associated with ICT for a very, very long time. And they are part of ICT itself. That anything which happens in ICT, the news goes to either color publications or Chemical Weekly, and everything is publicized pro bono, and they take pride in publicizing it. And we feel honored and happy, and we are extremely grateful to them for all their support over the years, and they continue to support the same. The point of today's lecture, as correctly pointed out by Priya ma'am, is to celebrate the legacy. Now, when the first mention was mentioned about C.J. Bhumkar's, late C.J. Bhumkar's memory about what's new, now I know where Professor Sharma picked up that particular phrase. Both more or less the same age. Professor Sharma will be celebrating his 90th birthday on 1st of May or 1st of June. So you should see how eloquently he talks about C.J. Bhumkar in his autobiography. Especially mentions his association with late Sri C.J. Bhumkar, and his common question also to any student or any faculty, even if he comes now, is what's new. So that's exactly what it is. They're contemporary people, think in a similar way, and that is what keeps us going. We have to find a new answer every day. We cannot be telling that this is new. Then Professor Sharma, with his elephantine memory, will tell you, you told me the same thing last time, so it cannot be new. So I'm very happy to be here, and thank you for allowing me to say a few words on this, and I welcome to the memorial lecture, and I look forward to hearing at least partly what Dilip has to say today. Thank you.
Thank you so much, sir. I request Mr. Prasad Purandare, Chairman, Pune Chapter, to introduce today's guest speaker, Mr. Dilip Raghavan, sir.
Good evening, sir. Good evening, everybody. Actually, Mr. Dilip Raghavan doesn't require any introduction. He is a well-known personality in the coating industry. But still, Mr. Dilip Raghavan is the editor and publisher of the Paintindia, one of the leading global publications of the coating industry, now proudly entering in the 75th year of the excellence. Under his dynamic leadership, Paintindia has evolved beyond a publication into a powerful knowledge and a networking platforms and connects to industry professionals, innovators, and decision makers across the globe. He also serves the convener of the Paintindia outreach series of conferences and the Paintindia exhibition, which has grown to become one of the world's most prominent and influential coating exhibitions. Through these initiatives, he has successfully created platforms that foster the collaboration, showcase cutting-edge technologies, and they encourage meaningful dialogue on the future of the industry. In addition to his contributions to the coating sector, Mr. Dilip actively engages with other industries linked to the chemistry and coloration, including textiles, polymers, cosmetics, and specialty chemicals. Through a wide spectrum of applications, conferences, and knowledge sharing programs, his multidisciplinary approach reflects his deep understanding of the interconnected nature of these industries. A respected voice of international platforms, Mr. Dilip frequently represents India at global seminars and conferences, playing a key role in enhancing the visibility and the reputation of the Indian coating industry on the world stage. His insights, thought, leadership, and commitment to the excellence have made him a trusted figure among the industry peers worldwide. At 48, Mr. Dilip is not only a seasoned professional, but also a avid nature lover, reflecting his strong inclination towards the sustainability and the environmental responsibility. His vision is to see the Indian coating industry and the specialty chemicals industry emerge as a global leader, driven by the innovation, quality, and sustainable practices. He has dedicated his professional journey to catalyzing this transformation, continuously working to build ecosystems that supports growth, knowledge exchange, and responsible industrial development. Over to Mr. Dilip. Thank you.
standing here in this temple of learning that we all refer to still from muscle memory, all of you youngsters probably call it ICT. The not so young ones like me still refer back to our muscle memory and would like to call it, thank you sir. We still refer to it fondly as UDCT. And of course it is the undisputed temple of learning for our chemical industry. So standing here today, doesn't matter what credentials have been read out in my favor. Speaking at international forums, probably speaking every other day at some conference or the other. But standing here today at UDCT, speaking at no less a forum than the CJ Bhumkar, late Shri CJ Bhumkar Memorial Lecture, and standing in front of the gurus of learning like Dr. Pandit, even after all these years still evokes a bit of, let's say, student-like anxiety, and I think that's a good thing to have. It shows you're still committed and you still value what you do. So it's an absolute honor and privilege, as I said, for multiple reasons to be standing here in front of all of you. Not the least of them being the fact that I forget standing here and delivering an oration in memory of late Shri CJ Bhumkar. Just for me to have my name mentioned in the same breath and sentence as him is an honor unto itself. And to that extent, I think my lecture is already a success before I even started. And for all of those who knew Mr. Bhumkar, I think you will agree that this is in no way an exaggerated statement. Because for all the good things that were said about him by various people, the one thing that was failed to be mentioned, of course, not that we don't know it, besides him being a great technologist, besides him being, we saw his side of resilience through the voice of Priya. Besides all of these things, which is well documented, he was one of the nicest human beings you could have ever met. His smile was infectious. Believe me, if you can allow me to, allow for some permitted exaggeration, I mean, you could literally see him walking into this room and, it was almost like you can imagine the colors of this wall turning from a white into something more vibrant like a pink or a yellow. That was the personality that Mr. Bhumkar had. And if you can imagine the kind of impact it had on someone who met him at a young stage of his professional career like me, today all the good things that are said about me, I would really want to place on record that late Mr. Bhumkar had a significant role to play in that on a personal level. So absolute honor for me to be standing here, and I will, in his memory, try and do justice to the faith that has been shown in me, in giving me this half an hour or a little more for my narration. So again, before I move on to what's really been expected of me, just allow me the indulgence of speaking a couple of slides, slightly off topic, but it still has a relevance to what I would like to say and the theme of today. So, of course, I stand in front of you here in my capacity as the editor and publisher of Paintindia. I gratefully accept all the kind things that have been said about me in my capacity as the convener of the Paintindia exhibition, but by heart, by identity, I still am the editor and publisher of Paintindia, and I would like that to be my primary identity, because that is what gives us the credibility, that is what gives us the knowledge, and I think that is what gives us the respect and the ability to execute and deliver an event like Paintindia. So, of course, why should I miss a chance to acknowledge and respect late Shri R.V. Raghavan, the founder and editor of Paintindia, but there is a reason for it, and that's what I was explaining to you, Dr. Pandit. Standing here at the KV, at UDCT, at the K. Venkatraman Auditorium, or the KV Auditorium, there is a bit of serendipity to this particular moment, because many of you do not know. I'm not even sure my colleague, Mr. Radhakrishnan, who's been with us for the last 40 years, and I take this chance to acknowledge what he has done for us at Paintindia and the industry as well. I don't even know whether he knows this, but the genesis of Paintindia came about when late Mr. Raghavan, he worked as a part-time, he worked as a salesman at ICI Paints in the early stages of his career, having come from the south, migrated from the south of India. And he also, of course, typical of those times, he moonlighted as a part-time journalist also to make ends meet. And somewhere during this journey, he visited UDCT, had the opportunity to meet the stalwarts of the industry like late Mr. Venkatraman, late Professor Venkatraman, excuse me, late Professor Nabar, late Professor Tilak, late Professor N.R. Kamath, and that was where they motivated him to try and come up with a publication that would help bridge the gap between the industry and the academia and become a forum for quality research and review publications that could help the industry progress. So that was the spark of ignition, that was the germinating point for the birth of Paintindia as we know it, and I think it all makes it such a special moment for me, and that's why I really cherish this opportunity to deliver this lecture standing at this particular sacred forum. The next photo that I will share before I go on to the rest of my presentation is also a very, very special one, and you will see the reason for that. Okay, so this was, yeah, okay, I think, yeah, yes, exactly. This photo has been taken with the kind permission of Saujanya Color, because it resides at the entrance of their facility, their current facility, and that is of course me, as I said, probably 24 or 25 years old. And I think whatever I said about late Mr. Bhumkar and his infectious smile, absolute evidence of that, as you can see. And once again, one of the absolute doyens of our industry, late Mr. Ashwin Dani. Particularly for all of you students sitting here, just dwell on this photo for a few minutes and please try and imagine what this moment could have meant for me. And everything that I am today, or whatever I might claim or think I have achieved, I think a large part of it emanates from this particular photo. And for this, I am in perennial gratitude for Mr. Ashwindani, for Mr. Bhumkar, and I must take this opportunity, Priya, to salute the Bhumkar family for what they have contributed to this industry. It's not about the global leadership that you bring in your particular sphere of operations today. That is well documented. And of course, you have earned that. But I think the culture of excellence, the reinforcement of the fact that business and ethics can still coexist in today's competitive and material world, and the fact that you do not have to give up being a good human being or good people even while you conduct your business and even while you're successful. I think you, Jashan, I've had the pleasure of knowing him as well as the third generation, and the entire organization. I mean, look at how this particular culture and how these particular values have percolated down not only the family, but the organization. Amol, Paresh, I challenge all of you, please, someday you should try and provoke them into being not nice. They will fail. And that is what Saujanya and the Bhumkar family have taught our industry, and that is what they've contributed. So everything that I say today is in tribute to the Bhumkar family, and as a logical extension of what he believed in and what he stood for, a tribute to every technologist, every technocrat, and every teacher who has contributed to where our industry is. I think we all agree that as an industry, we are in a position of strength today. So while we look forward, we are proud of where we are motivated to do much better, but let us not forget the contributions of those who have brought us to where we are today. So with that little introduction, I would like to go on with the core part of my narrative. Now, pushing the envelope of technology in the coatings industry. Now, I am smart enough to know that I am not smart enough to deliver a technical lecture at this particular forum. So please don't expect a deep dive into technology. What I will instead do is try and look at technology in a macro perspective, see what it means to our industry, how it can be harnessed, how it can be nurtured, and how it can be an enabler for us to sustain this particular path of the journey that we have embarked upon. So, this is obviously no classical definition, but a very simplistic look at how I look at technology. It's basically the creation of products or solutions to serve the explicit and the implicit needs and demands of your customers. It's a means to achieve differentiation, using an optimal set of resources that are available to us, generating, of course, revenues and profits. What I would like to do is, at every point in my presentation, emphasize on the need for technology, for innovation, for R&D to converge into or to culminate into tangible benefits, commercial benefits and otherwise for the larger benefit of our society. Because without that, the whole technology circle is incomplete. Of course, what it also allows you to do, technology allows you to create a competitive mode for yourself in today's brutal world. And as I said, it allows you to build something for the future and build something in the larger good of the society. So this is how I look at technology in a very, very generic level. Now, the technology workflow, okay, it's good to kind of put it out there, but how do you actually look at technology? How do you approach this whole technology paradigm? So I think it begins with an idea. It begins with a bit of ideation. Now, that ideation has to translate into some kind of action, into some kind of, let's say, next steps that takes you closer to a successful result. So you begin with experimentation. That experimentation will teach you a few things. So there's an element of learning. Of course, that learning will propel you forward with the right things you've done. It will lead to a certain amount of learnings in terms of what can be done better or what did not work. So there are iterations which help you improve. And then finally, after you follow this loop a certain number of times, it leads to eventual commercialization, or if not commercialization, it leads to the fructification of that particular idea. This is the simple technology workflow. Again, it's no classical definition, it's just my interpretation of it. But I would like to add a particular layer to this in the next slide, which talks, so let's go back for a minute, please. Everything here I said is basically what I believe it is, but then please let us also introduce the layer of failures, because of course there will be a certain amount of failures that happen. And I think this is something we do not accept and embrace our failures enough. And this again, I think, is a part of every technology, is a part of every technologist, or is a part of the whole innovation and R&D cycle that is there. So, but again, failures, it's not just a headline. It is, of course, a means to improve. So we must understand the reasons for the failure, the purpose, the context. Was this a failure that occurred during the initial stages of experimentation? Did it happen in the laboratory? Did it happen in the lab to bulk scale up? Did it happen in a production environment? Why did it happen? Was it because you are improving an existing process? Was it because you are trying to create a new process, a new product? We must map this particular thing. There must be a certain ownership. Who led to the failure? Not because you want to apportion the blame to someone, but because it must then, again, as I said, failures are a step for learning. So the ownership of that. So it's clearly defined as to who or what was the root cause of the failure, so that you can improve upon it in further iterations. What was the cost of that failure? Now, for all the fluff that I am trying to build around failures, the one thing that you cannot afford is the failure. Of course, you can always incur a certain loss, which is affordable to your business. The cost of failure must not be an impediment to the successful conduct of your business. So, it's like a child is allowed to fall repetitively while it's learning how to walk, as long as it can continue to get up and walk again, and eventually master the art of walking and eventually running. So it was, I think, the late Rakesh Junjunwala was in the business sphere, who says that there is no harm or no shame in failure as long as the failure does not kill you. So you must understand the costs of that, and of course, once you've gotten past that stage, what are the efforts, what are the avenues of mitigating these particular failures? what are the learnings from this? Because I believe, and I can speak from personal experience, that failures are the best teacher that you can ever have. If you have not failed, my personal belief is that you have not tried enough, and if you have not yet failed, a failure is just around the corner. So I would rather fail at an early stage of the life cycle of my operations, or at an early stage when I'm more resilient, or I'm stronger, or I'm, let's say, more thick-skinned, or I have the ability to absorb that failure. So please use failures as a part of the process, and use the learnings from the failures to channelize further learnings and improve yourselves as you embark on the path to success. Customer needs. I think this is a very, very important point, and I will dwell a little upon this, because finally, what you do, so I think research, innovation, technology, which are kind of, let's say, interchangeably used words, because finally we are all pretty much referring to the same set of activities. It must point to or converge or lead to eventually fulfilling some kind of a demand, an explicit demand. I mean, it could be something that a customer says, I need this particular product in this particular time at this particular cost. So that is an explicit customer demand that is there. Or, since we are all engaging with customers, there are certain implicit demands which the customer is not talking about. Okay, so it's, I mean, there are so many examples that I could give, but somewhere later in the narrative I'll speak to you about how explicit demands are going to fuel your business ahead in the immediate. It's going to lead to, let's say, the immediate turnaround in your business. It's going to lead to immediate production. It's going to lead to, let's say, immediate revenues. But fulfilling the implicit demands, or fulfilling, in a manner of speaking, this could be fulfilling demands of the customer that he or she himself does not know is a fundamental need that they feel. So if you're talking of, okay, it's a silly example, but let's take the example of the automotive industry. So when you started speaking about safety, the first thing that probably came to mind was seat belts. So obviously the whole industry evolved and started, introducing seat belts into their, into the system architecture and into the final product. But then there was probably somebody who also thought, and of course this was probably known to everyone, but there was probably someone who thought that just the seat belt is not enough. You probably need the airbag as well. And this is what I mean by implicit demands. You know what is there today, but can you also look one step ahead and see what might come tomorrow? And this, again, I will emphasize it later, when you're talking of value addition, when you're talking of, just going beyond your incremental business, these implicit demands or these, undefined needs of the customer are what are going to give you your windfall in terms of profits. And as a result of that, I think there is a need to invest a lot of time, thought and energy into trying to realize what these unmet or implicit demands might be. So, also, of course, the classic thing, what is the product cost? In a competitive world that we are, everyone goes. So the big complaint that I get in Paintindia is, you know what happens in Paintindia? A customer comes to my booth, asks me what this product costs, goes to the next booth, asks them what it costs, goes there, and it becomes an open price war. So the first thing in my defense is, I think, give the industry a little more credit. This is something they will do whether they come to Paintindia or not. So I plead not guilty on that count. But having said that, what we could do or what we should do in our own interests is do not tom-tom your products, or do not allow your products to be defined merely by a product cost. Allow them to be defined as a function of the system cost. Yes, your product costs X% more than what your neighboring competitor's product costs. But simple things like what is the efficacy of the product, what is the dosing of the product, what is the cost of failure, what happens if the product does not work. When you look at these and objectively present it to the customer, it puts a lot of things in perspective, and then you are not held ransom to, or you're not suppressed by the few rupees or pence that is going to be differentiating your product from the next one. I move a step further. The opportunity cost. This is a product cost versus system cost. What is the opportunity cost for someone not using your product? what is the opportunity cost if your customer's competitor were to adopt a particular technology that he or she is not adopting because they're not adventurous enough or they're not investing enough in R&D. This is the opportunity cost for your customer that you must be able to convey to them. Again, all of these are steps in trying to ascend the value chain and the value ladder, which is finally what we are in business for. Again, I emphasize this. Understanding your customer needs, this is an imperative, it's a given. I think if you are not doing this, your business is at serious risk. I go a step ahead and try and understand the needs of your customers, or go even one step ahead in the value chain. Okay, if you're talking of a simple anti-scratch additive, what is it being used for? Is it being used for a mobile phone? Is it being used for an automotive exterior? Is it being used for the coatings on my spectacles? Because there will be a difference in every case for the performance, for the expected standards, the performance standards, even the chemistry. So those who are making products only by saying, okay, I have to supply a particular ingredient which has this particular functionality, is again very, very vulnerable, to the price competitive war that is there. And of course, there is a chance that the product simply does not perform the intended, in the intended manner that it should, because you really do not understand in what circumstances it should perform and what is your customer really looking for in terms of fulfilling his customer's expectations. So please try and understand this, try and unravel this customer expectation matrix. It will serve you in good stead. Mapping global trends and parallel sectors. Now, I am a big believer in cross-functional learning. There is enough to be learnt within your industry from your peers and competitors and suppliers. Also look at it geographically. Look beyond your state, look beyond your country, look into other geographies. What is happening there? In terms of certain countries are more advanced in terms of technology. So try and understand, since they were ahead of the curve, what did they do X number of years earlier? Or what did they do in certain different climatic conditions which could become relevant to you? So please try and take the blinkers off, try and look at the global trends, try and look at peer industries. I think we'll agree that our coatings industry is not even close to being the most regulated industry that is there. So look at more regulated industries, because what has happened in those industries a few years ago is probably what is going to be coming into our industry tomorrow. So when you look at simple things like polymer emulsions, you look at the surfactant, the regulations surrounding the surfactants, they came in the textile industry 15 years ago. Now, if someone had been cognizant of that, they would have known that this is eventually coming, they would have been ahead in terms of the knowledge curve, and they would have adopted it as a practice at the right time and probably avoided the cost and the headache of failure in that particular case. So please look at industries around you as well. Again, it's nothing that I have not said, but deep customer engagement. And this is true of any industry you are in. No matter which industry you are in manufacturing, you're in service, you're in distribution, you're in paints, you're in FMCG, you're in cement, wherever you are, engage with your customer, because all of these above points are the bedrock of what you will do, not necessarily tomorrow in your business, but sometime in the future, and this is going to really help you unlock value in your business. So this is pretty much what I wanted to say. Now I'm just going to run through a few random points. As I said, I'm not going to try and give you the 10 best ideas in our industry, because there are a million of them. Everything around you is an opportunity. Everything around you is a challenge. Please, all I would like to say, let me run through these examples, but there is business everywhere, there is inspiration everywhere. You just need to be alive, cognizant, and receptive enough to identify these. So some of the points that I just noted down in very random fashion is inspiration from nature. Draw inspiration from nature. Now, as we go deeper into synthetic chemistry, and this is of course happened over the last, I don't know, 70, 80 years, sometimes in our zest and in our endeavor to become better, we have adopted synthetic chemistry, which is of course completely acceptable. But the one thing we realize as we go deeper and deeper in it is we have to come closer to nature in terms of, and I'm not even talking about the sustainability angle, which I'll come to later, but there is a lot to learn from nature in terms of how certain attributes or certain fundamental needs of living beings are defined and adopted by nature. So if we as an industry can actually try and identify some of these things, I'll share a couple of examples with you. Please be close to nature. It is one of the best teachers that you can have. So simple example, I think everyone knows, it's been this topic has been spoken to in death, but lotus effect coatings, which is basically a self-cleaning coatings, we all know what it is. It's all about basically hydrophobic coatings, and it's achieved by ensuring that there is the right contact angle, your coating has the right contact angle of the incoming water droplets, which allows you to, the droplet to roll off, and as a special bonus, it also gives you a better dirt pickup resistance. Now, as the name itself suggests, so when you look at the lotus flower, it's basically, it comes from that. Also, if you look at birds like geese, swans, all the aquatic birds, the ducks, their feathers actually have the lamellar structure or the layers that allow this particular thing to take place. So again, as I said, learn from nature. There is a lot to be learned from nature in terms of how it deals with certain things. Non-pigmented color surfaces. I hope there is nobody from the pigment industry who will be throwing stones at me after I walk out of this room, but it's just one of the many ideas that are there. So obviously we know that at the heart of any pigment or dye stuff is the fundamental chromophore that's there, and that's how you get a particular color surface, which in turn is a function of the absorption of certain wavelengths of the ambient light that's falling in. Now, non-pigmented color surfaces, again, if you look at certain birds, you look at certain natural surfaces, you look at butterflies, the color that they have in some cases is not because of the color by itself. It's not a pigment, it's not a natural color. It's actually because of physics. It's the refractive index of the layers of their skin or their feathers or something is such that it reflects a certain amount of light, and those colors are then, when those particular wavelengths that are reflected are actually the colors that you see. Now, in certain cases, if these kind of solutions can be adopted, can you imagine the kind of saving in terms of material, costs, and of course the longevity, because something that's based on color physics is not going to be subject to degradation due to weather or due to abrasion or anything. So again, if somebody, it sounds a bit far-fetched, but if these kind of ideas can be implemented, and there are millions of them, as I said, if these kind of ideas can be implemented in our industry, that is the holy grail for some of us to be cracking. The use of bio-based materials. Now again, we talk about sustainability, we talk about coming closer to nature. It's also, again, bio-based materials, when you look at the carbon footprint, when you look at, sum total of all the factors that are there today, the use of bio-based materials, the use of renewables in our coatings industry, in our resin industry, this is something that many companies are already working upon, and I really think this is a very noble pursuit. You must do it, because this is something, please again try and understand, our industry, A, is not a very regulated industry, and B, it's not very sophisticated in terms of operations. But please go a step ahead. As I said earlier, go a step ahead, try and look at what are the industries you're catering to. When you look at the construction industry, you look at the automotive industry, you look at some of the industries that are there, which are much larger organizations. You look at the wood industry, so think IKEA, think Volkswagen, think of all the other industries that are there. Now, these industries have a compulsion, have an obligation to shareholders, to whatever other forces that are there, to ensure that they are using their reporting back, that we are using, we've incorporated so much of bio-based material, we've reduced our carbon footprint by this particular amount. So when you look at what you're doing in your business as a function of what your customer might need, again, bio-based materials and renewables become a very, very desirable part of your operations. I'm not going to spend too much time on this, but again, hygiene coatings. Now, as I said, please try and look at it as a use case scenario in the larger perspective. Try and look beyond just what you're doing in the four walls of your office or the four walls of your manufacturing environment. Try and look at the purpose as to why you're manufacturing something. What is the value that you can add to your customer? What is the purpose eventually that your product inside a formulation might help in terms of your customer, in terms of society? What can you actually do? So hygiene coatings, I think it's a huge opportunity that we have not tapped into. When you look at the kind of hospitals, you look at the general poor levels of hygiene in a country which is developing, in a country which is tropical, in a country which just has such a sheer gargantuan population that is there. There are opportunities here in multiple areas, in public places, in hospitals. Hygiene coatings are a big, big opportunity, and I don't think we've quite even scratched the surface of this today as an industry. Again, I'm getting very, very specific, but these were some things that came to mind. Now, you want to keep pushing the technology envelope. Powder coatings, by their own definition, are one of the more sustainable options that are there because of the application technology that is there. Now, even within this, there are so many other examples. In-mold powder coatings for automotive ancillaries. It helps save a huge amount of product. It helps save a huge amount of time. It helps save a huge amount of energy. Now, these are the kind of things that you can do. And what I have not included here, again, radiation cured coatings, what I have not included here is this is an opportunity for you to sell beyond my product is so much per kilo or so much per liter. That is when you sell the product as a value of the larger system. And believe me, and we have live examples of this, you do not have to look at cost price or material cost plus conversion cost plus a little bit of margin. You are actually allowed to define at what price you want to sell the item, because, and this is very, very important, because if you are going to be selling, for example, a product where your profit is normally on a level of 1 rupee, these are of course notional, instead of 1 rupee, you are allowed to command a 10 rupee premium. Not because your customer loves you, but because by paying you the 10 rupee premium, he is able to generate a 100 rupee premium or sometimes a 1000 rupee premium on his product. So please again try and understand the purpose for where you're developing a product. Look at your customers, look at the eventual formulation, look at the eventual application that you're getting into. Intumescent coatings, again an example. As we build, buildings that threaten to touch the sky today, fire safety is a very, very important part of it. There are no building codes in India that talk of intumescent coatings, strangely, sadly and scarily. But again, this is something that is a huge opportunity that is there. Every building that is, we are talking of 80 stories and 100 stories, but I think every building that is beyond 4 stories must have some element of intumescent coatings or fire retardancy is there in the particular thing. Now, for a moment, just park all of these thoughts. There will be a few more examples. But standing as we are here today, we are already talking of us being a 10 billion or now maybe a closer to $11 billion industry, 90,000 crores. Add all of these unmet opportunities that are there. Allow the organic growth to continue. 90,000 crores will become 100,000 crores, even if all of us just go to sleep tonight and do nothing about it. But look at the kind of delta that you can add in terms of the sheer quantum of business that is there and in terms of the profitability that is there in our business. I think the one thing we must accept and be cognizant of, if we haven't really thought of it, think about it deeply, is for all the growth that we have seen in our industry. I have been here for 24 years, barring 1 or 2 years or 3 years at the most, every year has seen a significant double-digit growth in our industry. But that has happened in volumes. And the value delta that is there is only because the raw material price goes up. So if the price of crude goes up, or if the price of some monomer goes up, or whatever trickle-down effect is there, that increase in the raw material price is the only increase that we are able to realize as a coatings industry. Where are we pushing the technology envelope, or where are we using technology to create that value for ourselves? We have sadly, the answer is, I don't think we have really done it, barring a few pockets of products which will amount to, believe me, not more than 4 to 5% of this large industry quantum that we are talking about. So this is the opportunity for us. It's still not too late. Keep pushing yourselves, keep challenging yourselves, and let's try and see. Now, one might argue that these are super premium, the top of the pyramid, but that's okay. A little later in my narrative, which is not very far away now, I will speak about the whole concept of commoditization and premiumization as well. Energy savings, again, I think we know all of this. Let me move ahead, please. Encapsulation, again, this is very, very important. Now, encapsulation, controlled release of biocides, of fragrances, of what you might not. You know, once you master the art of encapsulation, controlled release, whether it's through abrasion, whether it's through temperature as a trigger, the kind of, again, value that you can deliver to customers, particularly for interior coatings. Try and understand, all of us now, we're sitting here in Mumbai. I'm assuming most of us stay here in Mumbai. We all know the kind of price that is being sold to us in the name of real estate. The average flat today of a half decent size in a half decent locality, we're talking north of 4 crores, simply put. Now, as a homeowner, if you have to spend 10,000 rupees or 20,000 rupees on your paint extra after paying 4 crores for your home, I think we will be a fool to not consider it seriously, because it's giving you either better performance, it's giving you some kind of differentiation that your neighbor doesn't have, or it's giving you something that is a fundamental performance attribute. I mean, if you're allergic to smoke and you have vapor absorbing paint, or you know, a paint that's improving your air quality, which is one of the points later, why would you not get into this? And the cost for you as a homeowner is in insignificant percentage points. The cost in implementing this for the builder is again very, very insignificant. But the value that we as the paint industry can realize would potentially be a game changer for some of the smaller businesses that are there. So please try and understand not the percentage increase that you are engineering or you're triggering in your product, but try and understand, once again, as I said it earlier, the value that you are imparting and you are adding to your customer. I'll just go ahead, skim over these points. Okay, a couple of points. The use of artificial intelligence, and I'm not talking of artificial intelligence in general. I'm talking of it in the context, I'm not even talking of marketing, specific point of use of artificial intelligence in R&D. So, first thing, it does not eliminate the need for human intellectual capital. It is, I think R&D, the human intellect is going to be as relevant as ever. If nothing else, it's going to be even more relevant than it was in the past, as we try to identify new products, new solutions, and new avenues of value addition. What artificial intelligence or AI tools does, or ML, what it does for us is, it helps us structure our R&D better. It helps us document our R&D better. It helps us capture data from open sources so that the process of iterations and failures that I spoke about earlier, that cycle can be compressed and brought down to lower number of cycles. I'm very glad that I thought I saw Anuj in the audience, unless he's got sufficiently bored of what I've already spoken. But he's here. So Anuj, once again, an example of one of the youngsters in our industry who has taken the path to technology for progressing his business. He delivered a paper, a full-fledged paper on this at the recent Paintindia Congress and won, I think, the second prize. So maybe sometime, I think Color Society and UDCT should invite him to deliver that paper, and please read that. So it's a very, very effective tool. So you have technology around you. The question is how effectively you're able to use it and how you're able to make technology work for you rather than you having to work for technology. I mean, digressing a bit, because it's also a point that I wanted to make. Sometimes I have seen how companies retrofit their processes and their fundamental operations because some software that they have purchased asks them to do that. And it amazes and aghast me as to how we are allowing basically the tail to wag the dog. I thought, as far as I understand it, technology is very simpler. is very simply put an enabler for you to do better in your business. It must work as a slave for you, not enslave you and make you follow it. I mean, I've seen companies spending years on SAP implementation and they're saying, "No, no, our process galat hai kyunki SAP bolta hai." No, no, no. SAP is the one who has to adapt itself. Who are they to teach you what your business is about? But again, SAP $4 billion company, they probably know better. Anyway, the point that I'm trying to make is please harness technology to work in your favor. Make it work for you. Don't become a slave to technology. Digital strategies, again, what I mean by digital strategies is now whether it is adopting digital workflows, it's about using digital strategies for marketing. This is a great leveler because in our industry particularly we are always lamenting as to how the big companies have resources, the big companies have muscle power, they have people. Now the digital world is a great leveler because if you have to market yourself, as an example, using a digital platform, it puts you on par with any other company that's there. I mean, if you have to create a particular digital social media profile or you have to run a campaign, it's the same as what your competitor who's 100 times your size can do. Of course, in the real world, they can afford a Shah Rukh Khan, which you cannot. But the digital world is something that is a great leveler, and we must use the power of the digital world to help us progress. The magic of substrates. I think this is actually a 3-day workshop unto itself. So I'm not going to pretend that I can cover it, but please, 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 as an industry, no matter where you are in the value chain, try and understand your substrates better. Surface chemistry for a particular substrate is, I think, the most critical thing and one of the most underwhelming things that we address as a technology group in our industry. Also look at what other substrates can offer to us in terms of opportunities in the coating industry. The $10 billion level that we have reached has been achieved through 80% concrete, I would say about 10% metal, or even 80% concrete, 18% metal, and 2% random other things. Now, you're looking at glass, you're looking at plastic, okay, wood also, but if you look at some of these substrates, there are so many unmet business opportunities that are there. You look at, okay, I know textile, leather, automotive interiors, these have their own dynamics, but if you look at coatings as a larger and an disciplinary industry, there are opportunities in all of these, and depending on where you reside in the value chain, there are huge opportunities to garner business in these industries also. So again, at this forum at UDCT, with Color Society, with all of you individually as technologists, let's try and pay more credence to understanding substrates and what they offer to us as an industry. Sustainability. Now, the first thing I want to say is this is no longer a buzzword. It's not an option. It's not something that you're doing as a favor to anyone. It is now become a mandatory option. And again, I'm not talking philosophical because if you look at the regulatory frameworks that you're operating in as an industry, and if it's not happening today, believe me, it'll happen tomorrow. There are laws of the land, there are regulatory frameworks, there are customer-specific demands, particularly those who are selling to B2B industries, and of course, ecological considerations that are there. And one thing I wanted to emphasize is you cannot say, oh, mujhe malum nahi tha. The ignorance of rules, the ignorance of laws, the ignorance of norms is not an excuse. And that is all the more reason for all of us to try and engage with peers, read more, get yourself trained, understand what is there, what are the laws, and make sure that you're on the right side of it. Because I don't think anyone is going to be giving you a long rope saying, acha, malum nahi tha, okay, come tomorrow and get it implemented. No. You have one chance to do it correctly in terms of compliance, and you have to get it right the first time. So also everyone looks at, oh, if I am going to try and make my production or I am going to try and make my products or my organization, compliant in terms of sustainability, it's a cost. Yes, of course it's a cost, but please look upon it as an investment. Investment at two levels. One is, again, we are a part of a value chain. It's not only us, it's also our suppliers and our customers who have to be compliant. or have to follow sustainability right across the value chain. So if you are on the right side of it, there's a good chance that your customer is going to prefer working with you, and that is where at some level you can also derive a delta in terms of your profitability. Also, try and look at it as a consequence of the cost of failure. If you are not compliant, if you are not being sustainable in your practices, there's a good chance that you're completely precluded from participating in a certain business linkage. So please do not look upon it as a cost. You have to look upon it as an investment. Resource conservation. Water, energy, need I say more? The last 20 days have taught us that these are finite resources, and these are resources that could completely change the way your business works. Now, if anything, we have been blessed, or I don't know if it's cursed, by abundance of both of these resources, energy, water, and at very cheap prices. So we have tended to take these things for granted. But I think these last 3 weeks have taught us that we have to look at optimal, if not minimal, use of these resources in our operations. Cross-functional learnings, I already spoke about this, so I'll leave it at that. As I said, I think it's no rocket science. It is a moral obligation to future generations, fellow living beings, and our planet. So sustainability must be ingrained in everything that you do. And again, it's not a patchwork. You can't suddenly say, you know what, I'm going to paint this part of my factory in this color because somebody says that makes it clean. It's not a patchwork. You can't do 3 different things and say, now suddenly I'm sustainable. It has to be a part of your DNA. It has to be a part of your complete set of operations that is there. Okay, just a few things that I wanted to I want to make a point in the context. Everything that I'm speaking is in the context of technology, please. So the first, a couple of myths. Customers will pay less for a bad product. Let's go through these and then I'll explain what I wanted to say. Customers will pay less for a bad product. Myth. Customers will pay more for a good product. Again, a myth, even though these two things seem contradictory. Because the reality is that customers will pay whatever they feel is justified for the value that they derive. Go to them with a bad product and say that I am 20% cheaper than the competition, but you know what, it performs so much less. Of course, again, it all depends on, as I said, understanding where your formulation is eventually going. But gone are the days when you can peddle a bad product for a lesser price. On the other hand, you can't go to somebody and say, my product is better than his product, so I'm charging you a premium. Again, your product, which is better than the so-called other product, is it over-engineered? What if your customer says, you know what, yeah, I'm sure your product is better, but at the price that I'm getting it from that particular person, it's enough for me. My performance, my customers, my operations justify that. So it is not an absolute statement to say whether a better product, a bad product, or a cheaper product will sell vis-a-vis a more expensive product or a better product. It is all about a product that is fit for form. And that's why I said the reality is the customer will pay whatever is justified for that particular product or particular service. Competition. Now, again, there are complete presentations on this, and it makes it more relevant in today's times when the paint industry is becoming more competitive, particularly with the large companies coming in. So, first and foremost, reality check. It is a brutal reality in today's competitive world. Discussing competition in a forum like this is not going to make it vanish. If anything, competition is going to intensify, but that's a good thing. Think about it. Why is our industry becoming more competitive? Why are new people coming into our industry? Because they see a future. They see the prospect of making money. They see the prospect of bettering your own fortunes by being a part of this industry, which I think is a good thing to start with. Now, so competition, yes, of course, it's there. The best thing you can do is compete, because first and foremost, become the best version of yourself. Make sure you're better than what you were yesterday. If you can do that, there's a good chance that you will succeed, irrespective of what the competitive landscape is. But again, it's not a philosophy, because I jump straight to the last point. As long as you can do this while defining and carving your niche. If you're going to be in the commodity play, if you're going to be in the rat race, then these philosophies fall flat on their face. Define and carve a niche for yourself. These are the products that I'm going to specialize in. This is the geography I'm going to specialize in. This is what I'm going to specialize in terms of my marketing strength, and then become the best version of yourself. That is a fairly good chance of being successful in what you do. Competition. Now, what we define as competition is probably this person is competing with me by undercutting my margins. This person is competing with me because he or she has more resources. Both are correct, and you have to look at it separately, as I said. But please look at it in the larger picture as an industry. There is a more serious element of competition. What if I were to tell you there is a big segment out there which is trying to do away with paint as a whole? Okay, the wallpaper industry is going around telling people freedom from paint, and they say paint with a T in the bracket. So they are trying to position paint as a painful experience. That is the competition that you should be worried about. Not about the 5 paise less that he is investing in, or the 5% more that he is investing into R&D. We can always fight amongst ourselves later, as long as you secure the position of yourself as an industry. Let us become desirable. Let us show ourselves as somebody who's delivering value in a responsible way to the broad set of customers who is not really interested in your fortunes as a paint industry. I think even the most bitter competitors, at least if nothing else, want the industry to do well. But there is a subset of customers out there, or an outside world, who couldn't care less if you survive or not, as long as their work gets done. So let us collectively as an industry ensure, through the right messaging, using technology as a carrier, and make sure we are able to educate our customers as to what is the value that we can deliver jointly as an industry. And then we can go ahead and fight on the other things. Because, as I said, you run the risk of being obsolete if you do not embrace technology. So please embrace it and look at it from a larger perspective. Again, something that's very, very important, and even though we know it, we probably do not look at it deeply enough. Commoditization is the bane of our industry. Technology and innovation are the only answers to overcome it. Now, first and foremost, it's an accepted way of life that today's specialty is tomorrow's semi-specialty or semi-commodity, and day after tomorrow's commodity or super commodity. This is a way of life. We have to accept it. This is, as patent regimes vanish, as a larger base of customers adopt it, as your unique selling point thins down, the commoditization is going to happen. This is a way of life, and as I said, keep improving. You know, the classical 80-20 pipeline of products, where the new 20% of products become the specialty that help you earn more profits, even while you're keeping your factories running through the 80% commoditization. This is always going to be the case. But we are a very special industry. We are an industry who, so if I look at the FMCG industry, for example, they have cracked the marketing game, or they have cracked the competitive game by allowing themselves to pitch their commodity products as premium products through smart marketing, through differentiation. And we are a special industry who introduces a new product through R&D, through differentiation, which should be a super specialty, but we sell it like a commodity. Because we are so insecure, and we are so much in a hurry to make sure that the person next to us is not able to come and undercut us. So again, I think we have to be more secure. We have to be more, let's say, cohesive as an industry in sending the message out to the outside world as to what we are really doing. What is the kind of value that you're delivering to your customer? And please rise up this value game. We have to look at premiumization within our industry, which is something that I would say is sadly missing. So footnotes, which obviously means that I'm coming pretty much to the end of it now. Standing here in UDCT, I think it's most opportune that we must look at, so when we look at technology, we look at R&D, we look at innovation. I'm sure some of you are thinking, easy for him, he's a publisher, he only has a show to organize. We are the ones running our factory. We know how difficult it is to find manpower. We know how difficult it is to invest into R&D. Granted, accepted, all valid points. But again, it is in your interest that you do get into this, because it's a matter of your survival, not mine. Having said that, what are the ways to overcome these fundamental and real world limitations which are actually true? Look at some of these opportunities that are there. Look at the academia. Look at temples of learning. Look at research institutes like where we are today. Dr. Alim is here. He has a successful course that he's running. He offers research facilities. Why can the industry not partner with them and outsource, or now whatever the word is, somebody calls it outsource, somebody calls it joint collaboration, some call it funded research, but overcome your limitations, extend and magnify your identity through worthy partnerships like this. Look at technology transfers within the industry that are there. And for heaven's sake, once you have managed to do something, secure yourself with patents. Again, one of the myths that are there is a patent is very expensive. I'm sure it is. I'm not denying it. Please ask yourself, is it more expensive than not patenting your product and losing the opportunity that will come your way? Again, this is, maybe I'm peddling my own business out here, but look at publications, look at symposia, look at public platforms like good trade shows. These are, I would say, breeding grounds for a lot of valuable information interchange. In our industry particularly, where a lot of technology is coming from raw material suppliers, or in the case of capital equipment where you're looking at process efficiency, you're looking at resource conservation, you're looking at efficient outputs. Please engage with suppliers, and again, your ability to take away value from them depends on how you treat them. Again, if you're going to go to what I said earlier, go to 3 suppliers and try to find who's selling you the product at the lowest cost, believe me, he or she is not going to be opening up what they have as a competitive technology. They are waiting for who is the person who's ready to pay us that premium, so that we can ally exclusively with them. People are happy to enter into, let's say, special partnerships, ready to give, I don't know, at some levels, monopoly if the business dynamics are right. But for that, you have to have the right attitude as a buyer or as a consumer, so that you motivate your supplier to impart the right kind of, let's say, technology that you would need to derive that premium value that is there. So as I said, training, external training, training within the organization. Now all of these will harbor a culture of innovation and give the respect to technology that it deserves, so that your people can help you, progress in this particular respect. The talent pool, as I said, and again, it is not a one-size-fits-all. You have to look at that talent. You have to look at, creating a talent pool, nurturing it as a function of your organization, the size, the scale, the affordability, the products, and the kind of business that you're in. And you are the only one who can define that. You can't be expecting somebody else to come and teach you how to do this. Incentives. Now, I wanted to make this point because in our world, we've seen how sales and marketing works, particularly sales, in our industry especially. Target sales, send somebody to an exotic location, year-end bonus of, X% of sales achieved as a thing. What motivates our technologists? I have not heard, correct me if I'm wrong, I have not heard of any company, at least in our chemical industry, I'm not talking of, tech and IT and some of the other things. By the way, those companies, if you look at it, in some cases, the product manager or the CTO in those companies is paid more than the CEO. So again, just try and understand, they know where the real value is being unlocked. But let's come back to this. I have not seen anyone in our industry, in the chemical industry, per se rewarding technology or technologists. And why is that so? I mean, if we cannot respect our own technologists, if we cannot respect technology, how on earth do you expect your customer to do that? So let's build a culture of rewarding in, again, I'm not here to sermonize or preach, in whatever way you deem appropriate and in whatever way fits into your organizational culture and affordability. Reward people who are engaging in innovation, who are unlocking technology for your company finally. Okay, and respect. Forget everything. Can we be a little more respectful to the technical faculty within our own industry, within our own organizations? And there is a reason why I say it. I don't want to go too deep. I think when I say that this must be there, it's probably because I feel that it's not enough. So, trying to practice what we preach in a very, very humble way. As you know, the marquee event and the bigger glamorous element was of course the exhibition, and we were blessed with the presence of all the CEOs of all the major paint companies along with Dr. Pandit. But the Paintindia Congress, which at face value is nothing but 16 or 18 technical papers in one room amongst the many halls that are there, and honestly we get about 60 to 80 to 100 people attending it. So no great shakes. But symbolically and in fact, it is our attempt, our endeavor, our commitment and our conviction to ensure that on this large business platform, this wonderful business platform that people have spoken very kindly about, we ensure that the flame of technology is kept burning. And the people who are called to inaugurate this are the CTOs from the leading paint companies. So this is our opportunity. Once again, nothing that I do or say is enough for me to acknowledge, respect and thank all those who have been promoting technology in our industry. But this is a very, very small effort on our part to give this particular platform to the technology faculty in our industry. So let us again, as I say, be a little more respectful and a little more rewarding of technology and technologists within our industry. So once again, coming to the last couple of slides. Now, a myth that technology erodes our profits. By spending so much, you're saying mera profitability 2% kam ho gaya is saal because I had to spend a lot of money on R&D or on innovation or on hiring new people for technology. Now, again, the truth is, it is an empowerment to enhance profits through premiumization and differentiation. It is exactly what I said earlier. Because eventually sales, marketing, I think with due respect to that particular community or that particular discipline, it is a bit of make-believe, it is a bit of gimmickry, it is a bit of perception. The real value, nothing about technology is fictitious, believe me. It is real value that is being imparted through scientifically validated data, done at your end, done by your customer. So finally, even though we may not accept it, we may not realize it, the actual premiumization, differentiation that we all aspire to achieve in our business is going to be coming through technology. And this is what I believe. Sales and marketing, of course, it allows you to drive your business, it allows you to conduct your business. But technology, particularly in our industry, and please try and understand the gravity of this statement, technology allows you to imagine your business. Where do you want to take your business? What can you achieve? How can you really stretch the limits of what you're doing in your business? Technology is the answer. Technology is the tool that is going to allow you to do that. So let's get together, okay? We are already doing the right things. Create. Technology's job is to create. Create a product, create a solution, in some cases even create a story to encapsulate this. Prove it. Prove it through action. Prove it through scientific data. I think the first two steps we are reasonably good at. Showcase it. I think this has been the challenge for our industry. We take the two most difficult steps but stumble and falter on the third. Maybe because we are not confident in ourselves. We are insecure that what if other people learn about it. I think you should showcase it, amplify it to the rest of the world. There are other ways to do it. Again, I realize as I see the clock behind that there is a paucity of time. Hopefully on another occasion I can give some live examples of how we can do this as an industry. But just, I think I must do it to drive home my point. I mean, it's a simple thing. When you are looking at, say, hygiene coatings, for example, I've told you where the application lies. But as an industry, and of course as an industry would also kind of translate into as an individual company, can we as an industry adopt a particular hospital and say that, you know what, we take up the coating of this particular hospital. And of course, the beauty of it is today you also have CSR funds at your disposal so that it doesn't burn a hole in your pocket and we are back to square one, lamenting about how technology is burning a hole in our pockets. adopt a hospital, prove what you have done. You have created a product, prove it through showcasing that product, saying, listen, this is what it's doing. We are painting your, your pediatric ward. We are painting your OTs. We are, painting your whole hospital with our particular coatings. That becomes a powerful testament. They become your brand ambassadors. The media adopts it. So we as an industry and of course individual companies are able to reap the benefits of this. So let us be more confident, let us be more alive, and let us be more creative in being able to showcase our successes. So I think this is pretty much a kind of a, let's say, a parting statement. The Indian coatings industry, innovation, differentiation, and as I said, collaboration. Whether it's collaboration through technology transfers within peers, your supply chain partners, industry, academia, whatever it is, I think using technology as a bedrock, as a foundation, as a backbone, this is the mantra and this is the imperative for sustained growth. This does not mean we are doing badly as an industry. This does not mean we are headed in the wrong direction. What it means is there are pockets of immense value to be unlocked. If we are really serious about doing that and not just riding the crest of organic growth, a wave of organic growth, this is what we must do to further progress. I will skip this too because it's relevant, but I think we can leave it for another day. So I think this is what I thought could be a bit of a summary of what we do. Now, science is the ammunition. In the context of technology, science is the basis of what we have. As I said, it's the real thing. Science is the ammunition. Commerce is the purpose. It's the goal. It's the objective. But also, as I said, the creativity, the art, let's not forget that. Because even though I'm trying to say that commerce is the goal, but allow yourself to experiment a bit, allow yourself to fail, allow yourself to learn. I mean, let's not forget how Columbus discovered America. Where did he set sail for? For India. But in the process, he discovered America. So keep science at the as the bedrock of what you're doing. Allow commercial outcomes to temper your scientific efforts, but don't forget the art in it. And this is where I think I would like to conclude my particular presentation. Thank you so much for your patient hearing. And once again, late Mr. CJ Bhumkar, you continue to inspire us. Keep smiling upon us from the heavens above, and we promise you the results will remain to be seen, but in terms of the effort, I hope I have been able to ignite the young minds and inspire some of the other peers to follow your noble footsteps and help our industry, the foundations of which you laid along with so many of your illustrious peers. Let's try and be caretakers of their legacy, as Priya said, and do them proud. Thank you so much, and I take this opportunity to, once again, thank you for allowing me to express my views. Thank you.
Honorable Outreach Chairman, the Color Society, to propose the vote of thanks.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. On behalf of the Color Society, it is my privilege to propose the vote of thanks. Before I proceed, I would like to make one announcement. This year, the Color Society is organizing its annual seminar, that is Smart Code 2026, on 21st and 22nd May. That is on Thursday and Friday at Farias Hotel, Lonavala. I request all of you to kindly block these dates and join us for this important event. Now, I would like to express our sincere Gratitude to our esteemed guest speaker, Mr. Dilip Raghavan, for accepting our invitation and delivering an insightful lecture on the very relevant topic, that is the pushing the technology envelope in the coating industry. Your thoughts have truly enriched all of us. I now request our Honorary Secretary, Mr. Sanket Sinde, to kindly present a memento to our guest speaker as a token of our appreciation. I would also like to extend our heartfelt thanks to Professor A.B. Pandit sir, Honorable Vice Chancellor of ICT Mumbai, for his presence and for permitting us to host the late Shri C.J. Bhumkar Memorial Lecture in this esteemed auditorium. Our sincere thanks to Professor Anaga Sabnis, Head of the Department of Polymer and Surface Engineering, ICT Mumbai, for her continuous support and for allowing us to use the institute's premises for conducting our activities. A special note of thanks to Priya Madam for taking the time to join us today. I would also thanks to all members of the Color Society, our past president, our Pune team, students, faculty member, and representative from the various associations. Your presence has made this event truly meaningful. With this, I once again thank everyone for their valuable time and participants. Thank you and have a wonderful evening. Thank you very much.
We now request all committee members to kindly join us for the stage for the group photographs.
Paresh and Amol, come.